Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Tack Talks Football. This is a little trial here. We've got our first guest speaker, Kyle Campbell. He was a longtime childhood friend I've known since I was basically a baby. Him and his mom and my mom have been very, very good friends all through high school as well. So welcome, Kyle. You want to give us a rundown of your background and some of the accomplishments you've had so far?
Yeah, man. Well, first off, guys, I just appreciate you having me on. This is fantastic. I love the first few podcasts that you guys have been doing, so I love to continue this trend. But again, my name's Kyle Campbell. I've coached all the way through the youth systems in high schools and colleges, from JUCO to NAI, and now have a hand at USC Upstate. Within their men's and women's soccer programs. And my title is a director of development programs. What that basically is a reserve programs. So gives players still the opportunity to come in and get high quality training at the college level and continue to develop. And then our it's kind of a pathway, if you think about it that way as well, and a pathway to get players become better, and then if we can move them up to the first team if that opportunity arises. Also, we do have players that transfer into other schools and programs as well. So that's where I'm at right now. And I love what I do, and love to chat with you guys.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you very much. And Kyle, he's played all through the years as well. I mean, we've played against each other, with each other. We've done all
Yeah.
kinds of um, different soccer things that we've seen a lot of different approaches with coaches. We've seen a lot of different approaches with players, and we've seen players not want to continue at our age. We're both about the exact same age, so we've seen
Yeah.
players not want to continue after our age. We've seen players like ourselves that continue coaching and continue playing the game, and then you have some that think they're still able to play at the professional level or college level, and that kind of they
Yeah.
end up hurt more often than not. So,
Right.
Jeremy, any questions for Kyle before we get started?
Yeah. So I think you started off at, I believe, King's University, right? Which was a D2 school.
Yeah, well,
Uh,
actually, I started out at Spartanburg Methodist College. Was
Okay.
my first
Spartanburg.
college gig. Was a junior college at the time when I took it over, and then we moved into being an NAI school. We transferred to being a 4-year school. Then had the opportunity to go over to King University, which was in Bristol, Tennessee, in the D2 level. And for just long story short, we just couldn't make the move to Bristol, Tennessee. I was actually driving 2.5 hours to that job. Um,
Jeez.
and so this job at USC Upstate came open, and it was an opportunity to get back home, get back into my own bed, and it's been great so far. So looking forward to getting started in the season with the programs here.
You guys at preseason, I'm assuming.
We start August 14th.
Oh, August 14th. Okay, that's right.
Yep.
So it's coming up.
It is
Yeah.
coming up.
So I guess my first question is, coming from King University was your last stint, correct?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Correct.
So moving from a D2 school to a D1 school, what do you see the changes in players and I guess overall the atmosphere?
Yeah, I think it's from first off, it's my talent acquisition. Like it's my level that I need to go and look for. Um, and so that's the first thing. And then it's mindset. You've got to find the right mindset because D1 is no joke. And so that's the big thing, I think, is finding those players that have the right mindset, that can take the grind, take the
Yep.
daily schedules, being a student, being an athlete, and packaging it all together. I think at any level, being a student athlete is tough anyways. But I think at the D1 level, you really have to find those ones that are just gonna be able to grind, and that's the biggest thing. And so, picking those players out, I think, is the one of the biggest things that I'm looking for.
South Carolina can't be a bad place to live, though.
No, it's fantastic, man. Summer's getting a little brutal.
Yeah.
August can be preseason brutal, but into into November and December, and we're still warm out down here. Can't beat it.
Beautiful. Yeah, beautiful.
Can't beat it. So
Yeah, we certainly talk about the grind, and Jason was certainly the athlete part of it, but the student part of it, it's questionable, huh?
Well, no, I was just
yeah.
all I was doing was just testing to see everybody. I didn't want to make anybody feel bad around me
Well,
that I was an
makes
athlete
sense.
and a scholar, because that would be silly.
Yeah, I fully understand.
So
Yeah.
what I'd like to do in this podcast, and most of you watching probably notice that we are missing one. My dad, John, he's having a little bit of health issues right now. Nothing too serious, we hope, but he's getting some testing done, and we're wishing him a speedy recovery for sure. We'll keep in touch, and we'll give everybody an update if there's anything that changes. But right now, good to go. He just couldn't make it to the session tonight. So
I wish him all the best.
yeah, thank you very
Yeah,
much.
thank you. Yeah.
Jeremy, do you want to start, or do you want me to get it kicked off here?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so last episode we kind of got into, and we're not that far from the World Cup, obviously. So we still want to continue that trend of what the World Cup has presented us as a nation, as far as where we stand, why we potentially can consider this maybe a failure just because of the result. I'm not saying that it was a failure getting that far, but a failure with that result, and why we seem to be falling off at a certain age group with our national teams or colleges, and other countries are not falling off as much as we are. At the U18, U19 level, we seem to be perfectly fine. And then the U23 level, we seem to be caught up by many, many countries, if not bypassed by many countries. So that's what I think I want the conversation to go to right now, at least, and then we can just kind of feed off of that moving forward.
Sure.
So Kyle, we haven't gotten your take on the national team yet. So what did you think of the we'll say the results and the expectation of the team? Did they exceed? Did they not meet? What do you think?
No, I think that they met what I thought that they were where they were gonna make it to. Now you mentioned the result. I think if we lose 2-1 and it's a grind, I think that do we look at that a little bit better than a 4-1 just beating, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's I think from the standpoint of everybody that I've talked to, I think we met where we thought we were going to make it to.
Right.
If we would have gotten out of that game and made it to the next round, that I think exceeds expectations.
Pretty impressive, right? Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Beating a Belgium team, and that round was going to it was going to be a tough matchup.
Do you think Belgium is just better than us? Because I look at the game as, I don't know that Belgium is much better than us. And so I see the results that they had throughout their group stages and potentially almost didn't make it out of the group.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that their group was easy or anything, but it wasn't a stellar group by all means. And so they struggled a little bit. But then the U.S. has a pretty good stint. I mean, obviously they lose to Turkey, but I mean, we didn't play our best players, obviously, in that game.
Right.
And then we go and beat Bosnia pretty handily. And then we get to Belgium, where I think they were struggling a little bit, and they just, I mean, whack us again. And I just, that's what I don't understand, I guess. I just don't.
You know what? I look at that game as the media got involved too much.
Yeah.
With the Mulligan stuff. I mean, I think if that doesn't play a hand in that, and we come in that game and without him, and it is what it is, and we know that he's out, and we got to play, right?
Yeah.
I think that the mindset's a little different. Now the day before you're saying, hey, he's back. That changes the mindset. Now you got to prove something.
Yeah.
You got to prove that he belongs there.
Right.
And I thought he was non-existent.
Yeah, he pretty much was. Yeah, almost
Yeah,
like he
Where
was
he
scared.
might as well
Yeah,
not. He might as well not
yeah,
been there.
yeah, for
yeah.
sure.
So I think that came a lot into play.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Actually, I mean, you saw how they celebrated their final goal. Doing the Trump dance and stuff. So it clearly was extra motivation for them as well.
Hmm.
Yep.
So I think that the moment was too big for us. I think we had a lot of distractions.
Hmm.
But I also think that the way the game kind of played, we got scored on early, we tied it, we were hyped
Right.
for the next 10 minutes or 5 minutes or whatever it was, and they scored again.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then our
Couple.
goalkeeper does what he does to make us go down
Yeah.
I mean, a
3-1. So
meltdown
it's just
almost,
like,
right?
it was like, oh, man, where do we go from here?
Right.
So I think we just lost all motivation, all confidence at that point.
Yeah, for
It's a
sure.
shame because we had such a backing, the fans were all into it. We were loving it.
Hmm.
It's just
Yeah.
disappointment again.
Yeah. No, I thought, it was a great thing for the United States. I thought we had a great World Cup, like overall. Everything was good. So I thought it was great for I walked around town and different people were talking about it and they were like, we've never watched soccer
World
ever.
Cup, right? Yeah.
Yeah. We don't even know what's going on, but we love it,
Yeah.
and blah, blah. So I think it was great for the country. I hope that it boosts, the, the mentality of the game and that kind of thing. So, you know, but we'll see.
Yeah. No, for sure. And just thinking back to some of the games that the U.S. has played, whether it was group stages or if it was in the later rounds, I think if you look back, so we had a good game against Portugal. What was
Sure.
that? A few World Cups ago.
Yeah.
We had a good game against England, but really it was almost like nobody cared in that game. It was just a mute game.
Sure.
And then we play Turkey, which is a semi big name. They have Arda Güler on their team, and so you've got some players that are playing at a high level, and
Yeah.
we struggled.
Right.
Right? We really, really struggled. And I know it wasn't our best players, but we still struggled with a bigger name. We always struggle with Mexico, and that's always going to be a battle. And then we get to Belgium, and then we lose to Belgium, which is a bigger name. Who'd we lose to in the group stage at Morocco? And then you get Morocco, last World Cup. I mean, and so it's almost like, I don't know if they're scared to play like bigger name teams or if like the expectation, like you mentioned, is set so high for our national team. We give them so much crap. I mean, look at the fans, what they're doing to like Diego Luna and Matt Freese, and saying that reject U.S. national team players. I mean, that is, I mean, that's good for our country to be that excited about it, but
Right.
like, who would even want to play for the national team if your own countrymen are basically reaming you like that? So
Right. Rejecting you.
I just think we've got a long way to go. And I'm not going to just say as far as like the national team players, I think as fans, because we have to expect that the national team right now is not the best team in the world. I mean, they're not.
Right.
We were all talking last podcast, probably US sits anywhere between 15 and probably 25 at any given moment.
Sure.
And so I think our expectation of fans should be, that's just what we are right now. How do we get higher than that? I don't know that we do. I mean, like right now, I don't know that we do. So, one thing that's going on with U.S. youth soccer or U.S. soccer in general is they're talking about potentially restructuring the whole entire thing and starting from ground zero.
Yeah.
What that looks like, I don't know. But if they're doing that, that means that they know that there's a real problem right now. And I don't know what that problem is.
Yeah, but I look at it two ways, So I'm going to compare the men's to the women's team. Obviously, the women's have had success across the board, 4 World Cup wins. And it's because we invested early, much before a lot of other countries that were behind, and now they're starting to catch up because now their federation is investing.
Women,
Yeah,
for sure.
So you have to look at U.S. soccer in this country on the men's side did not gain popularity closer until the 80s or 90s. So we are far behind a lot of the nations that have been there and done this essentially. And I get it that we got to the semifinals in the 1930 World Cup, and we only had to win 2 games because of it, and we didn't go for the next 40 or 50 years into a World Cup. So I look at it from the standpoint, are our expectations too high at this point? Are we, US is a country that always wants everything now.
Oh, for sure.
And
kind of a spoiled country, yes.
yeah, and I don't think it's realistic.
But my rebuttal to that is teams like Cape Verde and Morocco and Turkey, they've started later than what we have. And
Possibly, but what is their number one sport in their country?
Cricket.
Yeah.
Well, maybe, but I wouldn't say in Morocco, but
Morocco's cricket.
I don't know about that.
I don't know if it's their number one sport.
But what I'm saying is that there's less competition in those sports. I mean,
Right.
we're a baseball, football, basketball nation,
For sure. Yeah,
and we're fighting that. And I think we're doing pretty well for what it's worth. And I think that everybody just needs to slow their expectations down. And I think that winning that game in the round of 16 would have probably been beyond expectations, in my opinion. Beating an actual European nation, seeing how we haven't won maybe 1 or 2 games in 14 against European competition. So, like, it would have been an excellent feat.
Right.
So I think we just need to slow ourselves down, and I think the development's coming. We're competing with some of the best academies in the world at a youth age, but I do see what you mean. Once we hit the U23 or senior teams, we seem to struggle, and it makes sense because it's just there's options. And
Yeah. Can I jump in on where Jeremy was talking about the women? We jumped in on it first. That was actually my thought. When you threw out the subject, that why don't we look at who's doing it the best, right? And you got all these European academies and the relegation systems, and we build it with the ground up. So I don't know what our youth system's going to do, if they're going to overhaul it or what, but why don't we look at who's doing it the best, right? And that's I think the only thing that we can do to compete is keep our players. I think that what happens is, Jason, you were talking about, is we lose them at 18, 19, 20 because where do our best players go? To some of those academies in Europe,
right? Yeah,
right. Yeah. And so, but if we could keep them into our academies here, and U19, U20, U21, and so forth, then I think that development for us stays at home a little bit more.
Yeah, I do agree with you on that. And you can look at it 2 ways. You can look at it as agree, or you can look at it as disagree.
Sure.
I tend to look at more of agreeing with you, with a little bit of an exception, because yes, we've got to keep the players here. Like, we have to keep them here. That's the only way that we're going to. And it's not even about playing against the best players, I don't think. It's just about keeping the players together so they know each other. Like, we're not trying to necessarily build like the best individual players, because we're probably never going to be like Spain or France. Never going to be. But we can build a better team. But these guys are not. I think like half the team had only played like 10 U.S. games.
Yeah.
And
we're
so
too spread out.
I think Atlanta Donovan said it best. Like, if you are not playing at least 50 games together on the national team, how are you ever going to be like a great team?
No.
Because most of these guys in France and Spain, they play with each other already. They're playing on the same club teams.
Right.
So, like, you can't compete with that.
Yeah, we've got one spread out here, one spread out here, one spread out here. And you come back for a friendly here and there, and you got a 2-week camp before the World Cup. I mean, you don't know each other.
Earlier in our podcast, real quick, Jeremy, earlier in our podcast, that was one of our discussions. And I think, like, Balogun, we look at him as a really, really good player because he's doing good things in France, but we don't have anybody that is feeding him passes and setting him up for goals like they do in France.
Right.
Like Pulisic, he was so good over at AC Milan
Yeah.
because he had guys around him that were stellar, and they're playing in France and they're playing for Spain.
Right.
And then they come back here and they're trying to play that style with the expectation that those guys are going to give them the same passes. And now you're asking these guys that are so-called good
Right.
to do it themselves, and they just can't. They're just not good enough to do that.
No, yeah, I agree.
Jeremy, go ahead. What are you
Yeah,
saying?
and that's what I was going to say. I think maybe it's a meshing of too many styles. Like, I think we've
It
talked
probably
about
has
that
to be.
before.
Mhm.
Are we posers? Are we always trying to identify ourselves like somebody else? And do we need to start finding our own style of play, whatever that may be? And I think that what we have to start looking at is our 2002 success. What worked? They were run and gun, go, 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 and just nonstop press. And I don't know if that's our style. Maybe it is because we have really good athletes. We're pretty fast guys. I don't know what the right answer is, but I can tell you this is that if our best players on a national team in a World Cup are not performing as they should, like Pulisic, we have got to stop making these guys as the heroes for our team and put them in their place and say, look, dude, like you haven't performed in 10 games. I
Right.
can't keep you on the roster, or at least not as a starter.
Right.
And I don't think that we do that enough. We give too many chances.
Just
Like
by name.
Roldan, nothing wrong with Roldan. I thought
By
he played
name.
really well in friendlies.
Yep.
But for what? What is he going to give us?
Jeremy, I've seen
Hard
it.
work?
I'm telling you,
Thanks.
I've
He
seen
didn't
it
even
through the
step on the
youth
field.
level. I've seen it through the youth level, the regional teams and national teams. It's by name. If they know your father, if they know your name because they play on your club, that's how it is. You
It's
progress
a shame.
because of
Money,
them.
money talks,
Most of the
man.
time, not all the time, but most of the time.
Yeah, money will talk.
Yep.
And
So-
that's the problem with, I think, a lot of the youth systems as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, with you being and not really transitioning the topic, but kind of progressing the topic. So we were talking about the U23s, where that's where we're kind of struggling a little bit. With you being a college coach and have coached for a couple different schools and seen the players, kind of a different status of players, we'll say. Do you find that college is where we're struggling to continue to develop players for the national team, or do you think that that is where a lot of the players are getting burnt out and they're not wanting to continue life after college? What's your take on that?
Yeah, no, I think that there's nowhere else to go with these players.
After college or before?
Before
College. Okay.
and they have to go to college, right?
Yep.
And there's not enough opportunities, if that makes sense.
So they kind of just give it up.
They give it
Yeah.
up. It goes into the recruiting. And I could go down a big, huge rabbit hole on this stuff, but it goes with, there's only, I don't know, 7% of high school athletes are playing college.
Yep.
And so, there's not the opportunity to continue the game. And so what do? You just give it up and you just, man, you might have been a great player. But for whatever reason, it was, the mindset's not there. You had a bad club coach, I don't want to do it anymore. There's a lot of different reasons that I come into.
And I've had a lot of players. I mean, stellar players, players that would fit the college game very, very well. That just said, "I'd rather just go enjoy my life in college and not play soccer anymore."
Yep.
And
social media has taken over a lot.
I agree. Yep.
On the women's side, too many females want to go to an SEC, ACC, Big Ten school and be in a sorority and try to be TikTok famous and that that will take away a good players here and there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think just on that, when you see the players that are going into college and there's a very, very small percentage to say, you know what, I could probably take this to the next level. And that's the problem I think a lot of these people have, is that there's such a dedication that is it worth it? You know, am I going to be a pro anyways? Yeah, I do. I want to continue my career and play for, you know, another 4 years, 4 to 6 years, whatever it may be.
Yep.
But if I'm not going to be a pro, well, then I got to do something else
Right.
because I got to pay my bills somehow, right?
Usually
So
working through college, yeah. Yep.
and I think that's where the mentality changes when we talk about the national teams. Is that like in Argentina, this is all I have.
That's how
I
you get out
have
of
to
the
make
hood.
it.
Yeah, that's how you get out. Yeah.
You know, and so that's where I think that when we talk about the 15 to 25, it's because that's realistically 15 countries before us have that mentality
Right.
that I don't think we will ever get. And that's what's great about this country, but it's also culturally and attitude wise a downfall sometimes, you
There's
know?
just so much other things that you can
Yeah.
do.
But there's a lot of
Soccer
things
doesn't
that we
to do
have
it.
to do, you know,
Right.
because MLS doesn't pay a whole lot.
Right.
And they're not paying our own players in the US a lot. It's
Right.
the best players are not even from this country. So
Right.
it's just it makes it so difficult to make that change or that dedication to the game.
Yep.
I think that's where like maybe the academy system helps a little bit because it keeps those guys or you know, men or women interested, and you know, if they're continuing to work up the system,
And it's free.
then yeah, it's free. Yeah, exactly.
That's
You just keep playing
Yeah.
until you know, you're told, okay, well, you probably have reached your peak, and then
Right.
that's
Right.
where the college game can still come in. I'm not saying that the college game needs to go away. That's where I think, circling back to earlier, is the academy system, I think, fixes some things.
Academy could potentially be a college. I mean,
Yeah,
if you could
absolutely.
you train like it's a. I mean, I hate saying this as a job, but you train and then you go to school. I mean, that's
Yep.
just. You know, the thing is though, is what they need to do if they're going to do that is they need to make sure that they lock these players in. If you know that they're good enough to go to the residential academy, then no matter what, for 4 years, you're going to take care of them for 4 years. Now, after that, you can release them and be done, but you
Sure.
can't say after 1 year, sorry, yeah, you're just not good enough, and you no longer can go to this residential camp. You know, we're no longer going to teach you. And they have to go find another school, or they got to go find a college to get accepted into. So
Right.
it would be a dedicated 4 years for a player, in my opinion, if you were an academy going residential.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
But you know what that does is like you mentioned, no, we don't want the college game to go away because I think that's a good place for some players that aren't good enough for the academy. But what does that do to the college level? Does that now potentially make college a second tier, third tier league, we'll say, or situation? Does it shrink the college's funding? You know, does it shrink the money pot? I don't think it does. It just won't be as good a quality soccer. I don't think,
Sure.
but I think what you're getting at is getting the best players together
Yeah, absolutely.
more than they are now.
Absolutely.
And I couldn't agree with that anymore because I don't think our best players are together enough
Yeah,
at all.
fair. Yeah,
And the
for sure.
best players usually training together usually make each other better.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because if you know, if Pulisic and Bullhalter were together and they train and they grew up together, you know, just those two examples. I mean, if
Yep.
continue to make each other better, but you know, you go and you split. Okay, now I'm not pushing you. You're not pushing
See
me.
you in 6 months.
Yeah, right.
yeah. Literally.
I forget all about how you play.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and just on
So-
your note, Jason, on the best players need to play together. You know, we look at the U.S. We have 340 plus academies. You know, and only 29 of those or 30 of those are associated with MLS
Yeah.
teams. So realistically, even those MLS teams probably are not the best players in that certain state.
Probably not. No, because they don't want to
And
play.
that's a shame, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And we look at Belgium. I think they have 26 to 30 in their entire country. And that's where they all go, their best players. And maybe that's even too much. I don't know, but they beat us 4-1, so it's working. So maybe we need to start talking, and when we talk about changing the landscape, is limiting the amount of clubs in a given area, so these
100%.
players do have the avenue to play with the best players, and don't
100%.
just hold on to players and say, he's my best player, I can't let him go.
For sure.
You know,
Yeah.
so
Well,
No, go ahead, Kyle. Go ahead.
No, it's another rabbit hole that we can go down for probably another hour. And I'll actually just touch on this because Jeremy, you know this situation. My son lives in Dayton up there, and he U13 a couple years ago. I had the opportunity to try out with a couple different clubs, right, and try to figure out where he's going to develop the best, and went and tried out for the Galaxies. And had a chance, and talking to Jeremy, probably was going to be a second team player. Fantastic. My background, I thought it would have been a fantastic idea for him, and a place for him to develop. And then I don't have a lot of time, a lot of feedback with his mom on this situation, just because it is what it is. And he chose to go to another club and play on their first team.
Yep.
Right, but their first team was probably not any better than the second team of the Galaxies.
Right.
Maybe I don't even know what level they play at, but I would say they're probably not as good.
Potentially lower.
And so that's the thing is we got these players, right? And back to your point, Jeremy, is that we have too many clubs, so that these kids go from, okay, I can go here. Well, I'm not going to be on the top team in that club, but I'm going to go over here and be the top team of this club. But this top team of this club is going to play at a lower level.
Right.
So I think that's where we've gone wrong as well, and we've got too many clubs out there that just pick apart all the players.
Yep. Yeah, because you could potentially, we'll just say the closest two clubs in the area, you could potentially put the best players on one team, and they're probably competing for a national championship every year.
Absolutely.
And instead, these parents don't like these parents, or these parents don't like these coaches, or they don't like how this club is run. Well, I mean, tough shit. I mean, unfortunately, it's not about that. It's not about you liking anybody. That's not the fact. The fact of the matter is who's getting you the best opportunity to train and the best opportunity to be successful, to get looked at for colleges.
Right.
And I think that is where we fail. A lot of, and this is probably going to kick me in the hiney here, but a lot of parents think their kids are better than what they are, and they potentially could be if they play with the best players.
Yeah.
So if you're not making a top team on one of the best teams in the area, well, why would you want to go to a weaker team playing on a top team that isn't the best team in the area? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. So the whole goal of this is to play with the best players, to compete at the highest level that is going to provide in the state of Ohio, or the country, California. It doesn't matter.
Right.
And it just doesn't happen. Like there's no regulations to what you can do. There's no regulations for recruiting. There's no regulations for minimum mileage of where. I mean, if clubs are literally competing on places to practice, there's too many clubs.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, that's madness. Yeah. So why not give the kids the best opportunity, literally the best opportunity in the area, to have the best experience for everyone in the area, not just a certain club. Imagine if you had one club. Well, you have 15 different places to train, because there's not 15 different clubs that are trying to get these spaces.
Right. Right.
So for me, I think that is the restructure that U.S. soccer needs to have. They need to take a hard look at competing clubs. And I'm not saying you can't have competing clubs in like the 3 or 4 biggest cities in the state, or whatever the case is, because people don't want to drive 2.5 hours, 3 hours to practice. I get it.
Sure.
But when you've got clubs literally 5 miles, 10 miles down the road, it's just not acceptable. Like, you just cannot do that.
Yeah, there's 3 clubs in Spartanburg, South Carolina, and I would say, I don't know what the population is of Spartanburg, but I would say that it's at least half the size of Dayton.
I mean, that's
and
madness.
We got 3 clubs that compete for the same players. Why?
Wow.
Why?
Yeah.
I
It's
mean,
no
it's
reason.
just
Well, it's a headache for you colleges too that are wanting to
Oh,
recruit those players. You know, you got to go all these different places.
yep.
It would just make
absolutely.
more sense to consolidate some of these teams.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. I mean, you go, you've got ECNL, ECRL, DPL, GA, MLS Next. I mean, like, I've got to circle the globe to see all the players.
Wouldn't it be nice to have a club that has 5 top teams that all compete at the same level? Now,
Mhm.
5 is probably a little bit much, but that all you have enough players to choose. We'll say, I'm going to take my statement back and say 3. 3 top teams that all play in the same league or different divisions or something like that in the league.
Mhm.
And now you have an opportunity to now play at the highest level. All 3
Yeah.
top teams. So if you carry 20 players on each team, 60 kids get to experience the top level because
Sure.
that's how many good players are playing with each other now.
Right.
And instead, we have one top team here, one top team here. Oh, you've got a second team that is not great. You got a
Right.
second team here that blows everybody out of the water because they're playing second division. Like, it makes no sense in
Yeah.
any way, shape, or form. And I think what the U.S. system has become is it has become, and I'm going to say, not just youth systems, I would say clubs have been very, very soft when it comes to regulations. They're afraid to talk to parents. They're afraid to talk to players. They have
Yep.
no way of communication skills of communicating anything.
Yep.
And so we run into a problem of, well, oh, I don't like that club, so I'm just going to go try to find this other club. Oh, I'm just going to make a new club because my kid didn't make this club.
Yep.
You know, stuff like that. And it's just madness. I mean, it's utter. U.S. soccer in a nutshell is utter chaos.
Yeah.
And there's
No.
no one willing to take it over
Yeah.
because it's in utter chaos.
The education for parents is a big thing that the club that I work for here is called Spartanburg United. And so we tried to do a lot of parent education to try to combat the parents of, oh, well, my kid's on the second team, but why?
Right.
And so we try to give them a reason so that they can understand, and just to keep those players from club hopping.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, but too many clubs, they get too big, they can't do that.
Yeah.
They just
No space to train. Yeah.
it is what it is.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. Jeremy, any input to that?
No, I mean, I completely agree with what you guys said. I just think that there's so many egos. And I think that's another thing that you got to control as well is, you know, we can consolidate but who's going to run it? Everybody's going to fight over that. So I think that everybody just has got to come together and say, you know, we got to do what's best for the kids, not what's best for my wallet. Or what's best for my ego. If we want to be taken serious in this country, in this game, we have, and Kyle said it perfectly earlier, we have to start looking at the other countries that have established themselves really well. And I'm not saying they don't have corruption and egos as well, but it's limited. And we have such a wealth of resources. This is why it's not so limited, and that's hurting us in the end. And so a perfect example is, you know, we look at the English academies, and Jason, you talked about the residencies and stuff like that. That's exactly how you start establishing the best players,
Yep.
playing together and getting to live that life of whether they want to go to another academy overseas
Experience
or
it. Yep.
live that college life, because I think it gives them those two options. This is
Yep.
how it's going to be. This is the dedication you need.
Yep.
You either make it or you don't. And the players that do make it get to have options. And that's what the biggest thing is options.
It literally, it's almost, I mean, I hate saying this, but it's almost scaring the kids straight.
Oh yeah.
You know, this is the situation. And this is what I've done with like my oldest teams that I've coached. And this year, a lot of them did listen and they're like, you know, I just don't really want to do that. You know, I don't really want to put in that effort. And that's perfectly fine. I'd rather have them be mature enough to make that decision.
Sure.
But it's almost scaring them straight to, you got to understand this is a lifestyle when you get into college and play soccer.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just go party and go sleep whenever you want and have a job here. It is full dedication
Yeah.
for realistically, I mean, almost all year round, unfortunately.
Absolutely.
But and you're going to be your brothers or your sisters or your sisters in college.
Right.
You're going to do most everything together, and it could be the most fun experience for you, or it can be an absolute disaster if you're not a personable person.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I agree with you. I think the kids and the parents, because the parents I don't think are super informed, and that's where clubs have got to get better at explaining the situations from the start. And that's where I think we fail a little bit. I think our communication as a whole, United States youth system communication is horrible.
Yeah.
I mean,
No.
we had Cindy Parlow running it, and we didn't ever hear anything from her.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll say that coaches, and I'm not going to say the higher level coaches, because I think Jeremy and Jason, you know what it takes and what level of players need to play at the college level. D1, D2, D3, whatever, and so on. It's some of the lower level teams, maybe that are just playing in state league.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
They're a really good state team, right? Running the table. But their team, their players are probably D2, D3 NAI type.
Yep.
But
Yep.
because they're state champions, they're running the table. Oh, those players are going to all play D1.
Yep.
Not a chance in hell.
Yep. I
And
agree.
so then those kids get burnt out because D1's not calling.
Right.
And so it's a little bit of education on coach's part as well, as knowing the talent of your
Understand
players.
what you have. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Not just because you're scoring goals on a bad team.
Right.
Right.
Anybody can do that.
Right.
You just be, I see highlight videos and it's just a goal and it goes through the goalkeeper's hands and
Yeah.
the player thinks it's a great goal, and I'm just like, no, that wasn't going in.
Right. Right.
It was just the
Yep.
bad goalkeeper.
Yep, I agree. Jeremy, anything to add to that?
Well, so to the parent thing. So my parents are perfect on my team that I coach. So this isn't on
Yeah.
them.
Yeah, for sure. I know. I met them.
But parents do. They overstep. They live through their children a ton. So I guess, Kyle, like on the recruiting process, how often do you see parents being involved in the communication to coaches when they're trying to get recruited? Is that a red flag? Because I would imagine that you would rather see it coming from the players in their interests and not from the parents at all.
Yeah, it's got to be a balance. And parents want questions answered. They want some information because the kid's
Right.
just going to be like, hey, can I come play there? And that's great. Like the parents have all the other things, financial questions, and
Yep.
is my kid going to be comfortable there? Is my kid safe? All of that stuff. And so, in the recruiting process, love to get to know parents. Love to talk to parents because I think that makes them feel comfortable that they're going to send their child to be in my program.
Yep.
Now, once those kids get to me, it's over.
Yeah.
Now I'm working with an 18-year-old kid that's an adult. Now we're going to learn a lot. Those kids are going to grow up
Quickly.
They're going to quickly for sure.
Yep.
And so now it's life lessons, and it rarely gets back to the parent unless it's like something criminal that
Right.
we have the parent involved. But after they step on campus, it's me and player now.
Yep.
And so we're having that relationship after that. But
Do you find kids now struggling to have that how do you say it, that
conversation.
well, not even conversation, that
Maturity?
well, no, the ability to talk to you, to kind of have that relationship. Are
Mhm.
you struggling to find kids having relationships with coaches, not intimate relationships, everybody, the relationships obviously on the field to where they don't want to tell you certain things, or if they're hurt, they don't want to say, "Oh, I'm hurt, I'm playing through." Is the relationship good with coaches that kids are coming in? I would rather take like freshmen. Freshmen, is freshman a struggle still, or is it better?
I I think I think it's the groundwork that you lay in your program, and then you say like, and you make them feel comfortable with coming to you with issues and problems, and
Yeah.
those are some of the things that we talk about in our first couple of team meetings, and you know don't feel uncomfortable to come to a coach and
Right.
just whatever it might be. I always tell them that it's not, it's probably something that I haven't heard.
Right.
I've probably heard it, seen it, or done it, and and so I think it's the groundwork that we lay in our program that they want to feel comfortable to come to you. Now that
Yeah.
they're not all going to, that's for sure.
Right.
I think the cell phones and being able to just text your thoughts and your feelings and getting out of things sometimes through a text message has hurt things and the way that we communicate. Um, so, you know, is it perfect? No, but
Yeah.
I think that you know, trying to have that open line of communication is the first thing.
Yeah.
Jeremy, any last questions for Kyle?
No, I just Kyle, thank you so much for being our first guest on the podcast.
Yeah, it was awesome.
It
Sure.
really was, and I wish you and your school nothing but the best success this year. And
Absolutely.
it was great seeing you. Great talking to you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I will be tuning in on the next podcast and
Yeah.
keeping up with you guys, and then if there's anything that you guys want to dive into again, I'll be more than happy to jump on at a later date as well.
No, that's exactly what I was going to say. We'd like to bring you back. I'd like
Sure.
to, especially, and I know you're going to be busy upcoming here with the college thing, but
Yeah.
I'd like to catch you during the college season,
Okay.
and just see if your mindset has changed about the relationships and
Sure.
how you guys are doing, obviously, and so anything different than what you expected from maybe last year or something like that.
Sure.
But what I would like to do is, this is for everybody that is listening here. Kyle, will you give the name of your school again, and any contact info that you might want to leave, like an email or something, so people can
Sure.
reach out to you?
Yeah. So again, it's USC Upstate. We're an affiliate of University of South Carolina. That's what USC stands for. So we are up in Spartanburg, South Carolina. Email address is KC. So my initials, Kyle Campbell, KC225 at uscupstate.edu. And you can reach me there. You can email any questions about college recruiting. I love to chat, and I love to steer recruits in the right direction, because I want to see everybody find the right fit. That's I think a big thing is that too many colleges or too many recruits don't find the right college fit.
Yeah.
And so I love to steer them in the right direction. If anybody has any questions out there that is in that time frame, they're recruiting, they're junior, senior, anything like that.
Beautiful. Anything else, Jeremy, for him?
That's all I got. Thanks so much again, Kyle.
Yeah, Kyle, thank you
Yeah.
very, very
Thank you,
much
guys.
again. And we'll certainly have you on again. Like I said,
That'd be
probably
great.
mid-season, if you have some time during the season there, and we'll check back in with you.
Perfect. Sounds great.
Sound
Thanks,
good?
guys.
All right,
Yep.
everyone. Thank you for listening, and we'll probably post this within the next day or so, I would imagine,
Mhm.
and then we'll probably have a new episode starting next week.
Take care, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.